Eric, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you doing, Libby?
Good. What are you up to today? Where are you coming? You're coming to us live from the scene.
I'm coming to you live from a whiteboard, and this
That's
whiteboard is blank so that we may fill it with our
oh my
ideas.
gosh. Oh my gosh. There's just going to
Big
be
responsibility.
brilliance. I feel the pressure right now. Do you have a marker that works well? Because you've always got
I
to go
do.
through like three or four. Did you test it?
I did.
Got enough pin liquid?
I think so. I hope so. Fingers crossed. Ink?
Ink sounds right. I feel the rage that I feel in a conference room when there's a dry marker and the person before you didn't throw it away. It's probably not a
Mm,
healthy or professional amount of rage, but I feel like it's justified.
I feel
So
you too. Yeah, I understand that.
anyway, don't be that person. Don't be the person that puts the milk back when it's completely empty.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is kind of mostly what we're going to be talking about over the next half hour is things that make me angry, things that make my blood pressure rise. Okay, so today we're talking about one of our fave topics. We're talking about story and frameworks, and I don't want to lose people because this sounds like a nerdy presentation topic. But you and I were chatting before this about how the idea of story and frameworks are so vital, and it's something that we actually see in lots and lots of places. I mean, the stories that we read our kids, the movies that we go to see, there's a familiarity and a pattern. You were talking to me before about the hero's journey framework in
Mhm.
movies and how you were saying that most movies follow this. Tell me more about this. You know more about this than I do.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, I know very little compared to Joseph Campbell, who wrote the book on it, but it's
Makes sense.
called The Hero with a Thousand Faces. And basically, Joe Campbell unpacks every step of the 12-step hero's journey and how that story has been told over and over and over again through time, but just with different settings and different characters and different magic. And when you read this book, which I don't really recommend because it's so boring, but when you do, it talks about how, like, well, what you see is Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, Harry Potter, Hunger Games, Moana. Every great film that has really connected with audiences and grown a following over time is really anchored in this 12-step hero's journey.
Mm.
And it's because we love to feel like we're on the hero's team. Like,
Mhm,
who
mhm.
doesn't want to join with Obi-Wan Kenobi? And who doesn't want to protect the wizarding community from he who shall not be named? So it's like it pulls us in and it makes us feel like we're part of the action. But I think what Joe Campbell says is so great about it is that it's familiar,
Mhm.
and that we when Hollywood filmmakers speak to us in a language we can recognize, we're like, oh yeah, okay, I'm here for this.
And yes, our brains are wired to love those stories. And even though we go see a brand new action movie, we're going to recognize the beats of we recognize the hero. And then life is never conflict free for the hero. Something happens, then we have to solve the conflict. And then we want them to return home safely, having learned something or grown or whatever. And when you mentioned Moana, it's true. She's the hero and she goes out and then she comes back and she comes back home. And hey, so even in Pixar movies, it's there. So you and I were
Yeah.
chatting before about how our brains are wired to love stories. And even in the stories that we enjoy outside of our professional lives, there's framework and there's a familiarity there. There's something that holds those stories together and there's something common throughout those stories. So we were talking about how this is true for our presentations because I, for too long, thought that people who give amazing presentations are just kind of born with it. And there's something like, oh, well, she's just an amazing presenter. She's born with it. But frameworks are one of the things that I would point to that make a really effective presenter and make a really effective story. So I know that you have a couple that you talk about in your trainings, and I would love to be further educated. Can you tell me I know there's the movie trailer formula that I would love to hear more about, but tell us about the frameworks that you talk about.
Oh yeah, no, thank you. I would actually like to start with one that we call thaw,
Let's do
and
it.
thaw is uh, basically it's designed to get you unfrozen, and
Okay.
that's why it's called that.
Makes
Thaw
sense.
is an acronym, and it
Okay.
stands for thanks, help, and wow.
Okay.
Thaw. Okay,
Okay. So when
and
do I
so
use it?
really, so here's when you use this. You're walking through the office, and a coworker ambushes you and says, "Hey, can you tell me what the update is on that thing?"
Okay.
And you're
And your mind goes blank.
completely, yes, your
No idea.
mind goes blank. You have no idea where to even start. And oh, by the way, now this whole situation is totally flooded with adrenaline,
Right.
right? Adrenaline now rules the room. So, or maybe it's you're standing up at a town hall and you are the head of HR and you're talking about the strategic vision for the department or for the company. And someone asks a question in the audience and says, "Hey, what are we doing about diversity?" And you don't have the answer off the top of your head. So
Mhm.
thaw out. And it basically it works like this. You go, "Thanks." And you put some, so you have to do this with me, Libby.
Oh,
Thanks.
sorry. Sorry.
Yeah. So hands together,
Okay.
gratitude, right? And you express thanks,
Got it.
and then you offer help, and you put your hands out in supplication like this. This is the help we need,
Got
or
it.
this is the help we're prepared to give. And then you celebrate with a wow. And you say it like Owen Wilson. You go, wow, right? Like
Wow.
you celebrate real big. And
Okay.
so put it together and it's thanks, help, and wow.
Okay.
And so what that framework does is number one, it unfreezes the situation because when you express gratitude, you are starting the oxytocin. You're starting the drip that creates empathy, that counteracts adrenaline. What you're also doing is you're buying time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying, I'm going to put some distance between me and the fear that I've
Mm-hmm.
been planted in. I'm going to express gratitude, even if it's just thanks for asking me that question.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually all it takes. And then help starts cortisol. It starts people focusing on the action that needs to be required or that needs to be taken. And then the wow is the celebration that creates the dopamine effect. And the dopamine effect, of course, being the chemical, the hormone that is the I like that or keep doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be as simple as, wow, thanks for asking that question. Or, sorry, thanks for asking that question. I'm so glad you stopped me today. Here's the help I need from you is the data that's missing for us to be able to answer that question. Do you have access to it? And if you can find that, man, we're going to really solve this problem together.
I
And
love
then
that.
you're on your way and you're unstuck.
There's not a motion for that. I
No.
think starting with the thanks as well can diffuse what could otherwise feel like a really hostile situation.
Mhm.
The questions that have stopped me in my tracks are ones that maybe come with an aggressive tone or come as a challenge or someone is very defensive about something. And so I think starting with that tone is really helpful in finding a common ground and helping create a better atmosphere before you answer the question.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just for reference, that framework was born out of crisis communications.
Mm-hmm.
I at one point was in a role where I fielded a lot of phone calls from angry journalists asking for a quote on a topic or something, and I was representing the company and had to think on my feet very quickly. So that's how we built that out. It was how do we get to a point where I can answer those questions without having to hang up, call them back, engage the
Right.
PR team, and like it's yeah,
Right.
there's not time for that.
Right. Go cry in the supply closet for just a second
Yeah,
because there's no time for more than that. You always know more about the brain than I do, and it makes me feel defensive that I'm just going to start making up things. When you give an effective presentation, the chemical in your brain, it's actually the same thing that they put in Gatorade. Not a lot of people know that, but according to a statistic that I just made up recently. I want to feel smart. I want to feel like I have something to add to the dopamine neurotransmitter discussion. I have nothing whatsoever.
Well,
But
you had me. I was
oh,
about to follow you
that's
down that.
good.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah,
I'm following the act as if principle. Act as if you know what chemicals go on in your brain.
yeah.
Okay. Now that we've established that I'm an idiot, um, tell me other frameworks that you go to, that you employ in your trainings, that you use.
Okay, so this is when I'm going to get the whiteboard involved because we're going to talk about
Curious.
the movie trailer. Okay,
Yes.
the movie trailer is a four-part formula,
Okay.
and we're just tearing a page right out of Hollywood's playbook.
Okay.
The reason the movie trailer works so well is because imagine you at the movies, you're there to see something that you're excited to see, and then before the movie starts, that you're there to see, it shows you an ad for a movie that you haven't heard of yet,
Right.
right?
Right.
And universally, at the end of every great movie trailer, what do? You turn to the person you're there
Ooh, I can't
with,
wait to see that. Ooh, that looks so good.
or maybe you just think it to yourself because you're there by yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're
Yeah.
not a nerd if you go to the movies by yourself, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
did it. I did it the other week, and I went to see F1 stellar experience. And I had no one to talk to during the trailers, but I love
Mhm.
the trailers. Neither here nor
Yeah.
there. So yes, you have the reaction. It stokes your interest.
You have that reaction, and really what it tells you is, I want to get my butt in the seat for that. Right. So you
Mhm,
say, tell me more, or I'll be on the lookout when those tickets become available. So the movie trailer is a great formula for when you don't necessarily need to get to yes, but you need to get to not know, or you need to
mhm,
get to the next meeting.
mhm,
So
mhm.
here's how it works. And now I'm about to ruin movie trailers for all of you. So
So I
in this four-part formula, it
okay,
goes setting,
okay,
first, subjects, options, and hero. And it goes in that order: one, two, three, four. Setting
okay.
is a description of the macro world, right?
Setting,
Like what's
subjects,
going
options,
on
hero.
in the world at large
Okay,
that is affecting the storyline. Subjects, okay, words are very
okay,
important. The reason we say subjects and not characters is because they are subjected to something. They are oppressed, they are feeling restless, they're not happy
okay.
with their current
Outside
situation,
forces.
so they're subjects in need of
Okay,
rescue in some way. Options,
okay,
there are always three and they always suck. One is
okay,
fight, two is flight, and three is freeze.
okay.
So one option is we can engage with this and it'll suck. One option is
Right,
we could run away from this and that will suck.
right,
And one
right,
option is status quo or pretend like nothing's happening, and that also sucks.
right,
Okay. So none of those options are attractive, but
right.
thankfully, a hero
There's a hero.
comes to save the day.
Right,
And when the hero arrives to save the day, the hero has superpowers, and those superpowers are freezy breath and laser eyes and flight
right,
and the ability to X-ray vision, right?
right.
So every movie trailer does this, and the setting is always it always starts the same. It's always three words, and those three words are in a world,
In a world.
right?
Yes.
So the general format is in a world where things suck. It's hard to be a person who lives in this world. What but where can we turn?
Right,
We could fight back, we could run away, or we could do nothing and
right.
pretend like nothing's happening.
All terrible.
All terrible options. Thankfully, there's Batman, who's here to
Right,
save the day with his cunning and his strength and his speed and his toys and his money.
right. Mostly
Coming
money.
soon to theaters near you. Yeah,
Right.
mostly Bruce Wayne. And then finally, the call to action at the end is buy tickets. Coming
Go to the
soon to
movie.
a theater near you.
Right.
Yeah. So in a business setting, this it there's some translation
Yeah.
involved, but um, I will tell you a quick story about one of my clients who used this at one point, and that client was Jimmy John's, and Jimmy John's was launching a loyalty app, and that loyalty app took a long time to get made,
Mm,
but the presentation that ultimately got it over the finish line was when they finally got their CMO and their CTO in the room together.
mhm.
It was very hard to get them on the same page. It sounded a little something like this: we live in a world where the average millennial female, our target audience, has over 70 restaurant apps on her phone and would rather go without shoes for a week than her phone for a day. And when
Okay.
it's time to order lunch, she's suffering, she's struggling because her only options when she wants Jimmy John's are to fight through the mobile web experience,
Mm,
which is not great.
terrible.
She could go to Panera. We don't
Oh,
love that.
right.
Or maybe if we do nothing, she could stay a customer, but for how long when every other brand out
Right.
there is telling her that this is how you engage with these restaurants?
Right.
Thankfully, our teams developed a mobile app which knows where you are, what you love, and delivers on our promise to be freaky fast.
Hmm.
Here's our budget. Will you sign it?
Okay. First of all, thank you for your service because I am the proud mother of two young girls, and the two happiest things about their births were one, they were both healthy, and two, I almost used a swear word. I'm not going to. For 9 months, I looked forward to a Jimmy John's because you can't have cold cuts when you're pregnant. And so for most pregnant women, Jimmy John's holds a status in our heart that I cannot fully explain to you because you have to go without it for almost a year of your life. And this is so off topic. One of the baby presents that my husband's boss gave us was like a party tray of subs, and he just sent it to us the day we got back from the hospital, and we just kept it in the fridge, and I would just go to the fridge and get half a sub anytime I wanted it. And I'm a diehard, I'm a lifer, so thank you for your service. Okay, but yes, and
glad to help.
What I also love about that story is a lot of times in presentations, we turn things into a data dump or a feature dump, but you talked about it as a narrative with a central character. And we understand narratives. Our brain doesn't quite know what to do with feature dumps of, well, the app's going to have this and the app's going to have that. But our brain understands use cases and customer journeys and stories. So I love that about the movie trailer format and what you just mentioned as well.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. And I think one thing that's important to note is you might notice this is bleak, this is bleak, this is bleak, right? And only this is really uplifting or happy.
Right.
And that is kind of an advanced storytelling technique because your audience doesn't understand what we often say is you can't taste the sweet without the salt. We don't understand the good that's possible unless you remind us of the pain that we're in.
Yes.
And sometimes you're not just providing a report. You're not saying only, hey, these are our sales figures for Q1. You're saying, this is an idea that we need you to get behind and believe in. And we need you to understand the power and the potential. And like when you're trying to inspire people, you can't just come in with your idea.
Right.
You have to remind them that there's pain unless your idea is accepted. And that this is a really quick way to do that. If you're on an airplane and they give you a cocktail napkin, you can fold it into 4 quadrants and you can write a presentation outline.
I'm sure that's what everyone's going to do after this. I mean, I imagine.
I mean, I will.
Sure. I tell some version of this to startup founders that they get so excited to talk about their solution or their app, but I tell them the more you can sell me on the fact that there is a problem and that problem is painful, the easier it is to sell people on this solution. Tell me that people are spending time and money and they are fed up with this problem. Tell me how much they're fed up with this problem. Tell me how much money they're wasting trying to solve this problem. Tell me that. Paint me the full picture. Make it bleak. Make it absolutely bleak. And then your solution, your company is the hero. Because if I have bought into the fact that there is a big, expensive problem that a lot of people struggle with, then, oh my gosh, absolutely, we're glad to see the hero come along with that solution. So I love that call out. And now I have the framework and the words to put to it, which is very cool.
But I think this is really important. And I want to know, when you talk to them about this, these startup founders, what do they say when you tell them that you have to drag your audience through the dirt for a little while? Like, how do they respond to that?
I think it's not intuitive because, especially if you have 10 minutes pitching, I think the mind goes to, we need to spend as much time as possible educating our audience on who we are, what we do, and what our product is, which I completely understand. Because in a 10-minute pitch, if I say, hey, you need to spend 5 minutes setting up the problem, that feels backwards, that feels odd. And you think, well, we need to talk about ourselves. We need to talk about the fact that our company does X, Y, Z. So I think it feels unnatural. And I think it feels counterintuitive, but especially when you're pitching to an audience who may not be personally affected by this problem. I think about, an example of a female beauty entrepreneur pitching to a group of male VCs who may not care at all about makeup or skincare or whatever. But if she can convince them that there is a big, expensive problem that half of the world's population struggles with, then she can sell them on the fact that there's a solution. So I think it's not intuitive. I think it's counterintuitive. But I think it makes the story accessible and feel more urgent to the audience.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, so speaking of urgent,
yes,
there's another formula that I'd like to go through,
and it's flying off the shelves, and we only have 10 left. and you need to
Yes,
tell us about it. Oh, we're using the whiteboard again. Does this one have
we are.
handwritten things as well? Whiteboard again? Does this one have
We
handwritten
are.
things as well?
It does not, but
Okay.
it does reference one of my favorite subjects, science.
Got it. Oh, okay. Now Eric, we're finding out so much about you.
Okay,
DNA.
DNA.
Crick and Watson. I know
It
that
does
one.
not stand for deoxyribonucleic.
Nucleic
What?
acid.
Yes. Okay.
Come on, Eric.
It
Let's
stands
go.
for dream,
Okay.
nightmare,
Okay.
action.
Okay. This is like the last 24 hours of my life that we're describing.
I don't know what's happening in your home, Libby.
I probably shouldn't talk legally. I can't really talk about it right now,
Okay.
but
All right. Good.
okay. Dream,
Uh,
nightmare, action. What does that mean?
okay. Let me tell you about a dream I had. The world is amazing. Everything is in vivid color. People are happy. People are getting along with one another. Caterpillars and bunnies are playing together in our immediate vicinity.
Love.
This dream could quickly become a nightmare
Oh my God.
if this happens and this happens and this happens. If
Okay.
we identify some of the barriers that could prevent us from reaching this dream, right? Then boy, things could get ugly quick.
Right.
But that's not going to happen because we're going to
Um,
take this action together.
right.
Okay,
Okay.
so that's generally the formula. It's
Okay.
you want to paint your vivid picture, your vision, and make it great. Make it
Right.
absolutely like, oh, I cannot wait to live in that world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then bring us down into the dirt and talk to
Mm-hmm.
us about why that world is not readily accessible to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know who did this really well was Steve Jobs. He
Mm,
said, I got an idea. It's 10,000 songs in your pocket, plus a personal computer, plus a phone. And he told us about all the amazing things that were possible.
yeah.
But then he said, but you know what, world, you're not ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what's in the way. All you carriers are fighting with each other over bandwidth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, and then then described what actions needed to be taken for the iPhone to be able to manifest. And
Yeah.
so he unpacked this perfectly. Now he did it over and over again over the course of about 90
Mm-hmm.
minutes,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't have to. Like when you're giving a quick presentation and you're trying to get people to take some action, this is a great way to set the stage and help them understand, oh, if I don't act, this dream could become a nightmare.
And I think that this could be even this is a 3 sentence thing when you run into your boss at the elevator. Hey, how's that project going? We're so excited about the dashboard that we're building right now. What we're running into is XYZ, but here's the plan moving forward. Great. 3 sentences. You and I were chatting beforehand that this mirrors a consulting framework that I like. Very similar. I know this as situation, complication, resolution. I think we're talking about the same framework, just in different words. That let me paint you the picture. Let's talk about the context as it exists. There's something wrong. We don't have the budget we need. We don't have the resources we need. Something is going wrong. There's red tape, something. But here's the resolution. Here's what we need from you. So I think the framework is universal and very helpful of laying the context first, talking about what's wrong with the status quo, what's wrong with where we are, and then how to resolve. And also, this reminded me of Nancy Duarte does a wonderful job of this. She talks about this in her TED Talk. She talks about the world as it is and the world as it could be. And if we can paint a picture of, hey, what if we lived in a world where X, Y, Z, and then you can get folks excited and bought into that future state. I would be I think that the Texas Association of Presentation Specialists, which is a group that I just made up just now, would take away my license if I didn't talk about the pyramid principle for just a second. So this, as far as frameworks, is the go-to, the gold standard. Any consultant, I think, carries like a pyramid principle baseball card in their back pocket. None of this is true. The pyramid principle talks about how we always start our message with the answer. I talk in my classes about how we often present like we're presenting a detective story where you find the murder at the beginning, there's a dead body, the detective comes to town and finds all the clues, and at like chapter 19 of 20 we find out who the killer is. And that's often how we structure our meetings and our presentations. We say, hey, there's all this great data, and here's what I found from this data, and then here's these trends that I saw, and as a result of that, I think that we should open our new location in Phoenix. And your audience has to wait till minute 59 of a 60-minute meeting in order to find out the answer and find out your recommendation, find out that resolution. The pyramid
Yeah.
principle talks
By
about
then
how
they're snoozing, right?
they're
By then
gone.
they're like
They're,
by minute 4 they're
yeah,
shopping on their phones. Yeah.
they're on phones, they're everything. And so the pyramid principle states that in minute 1 of our presentation, we should be saying, today I'm going to be talking to you about how I think we should open our new location in Phoenix. I'm going to tell you the 3 reasons why. Wonderful. We have started with the answer. We have started with the context. We have given people a reason to care. We've given them that answer up front. So what we think about this more like a newspaper article where all the important information is in the headline and then written in descending order of importance from there. Starting with the answer, leading with the answer is one of the things that people can do to most transform their presentation style, especially in the corporate world, into more of an executive level presentation. Don't take them along the whole journey. Start with the destination and then talk about how you got there. So yes, all that to say, I see some familiarity in your DNA framework. Situation, complication, resolution. Starting with the answer is vitally important. Okay, Eric, I can't believe this. We're just flying through this. We're coming to the end of our time. My Jimmy John story took up like 12 minutes, so that was not bad. But okay, here's a question. How do you know when to use the movie trailer approach versus the DNA approach? Can a presentation mix and match the concepts through your presentation? Okay, that's a great question.
That is a great question.
Eric,
Yeah.
what would you say?
So I'd say, well, first, the second part, can you mix and match? And the answer to that is absolutely, because on a long enough timeline, you can take someone on multiple different iterations of DNA and you could embed that into a movie trailer. You could talk about the dream you have for your users, or you can talk about the nightmare that they might experience. There is a lot of opportunity to weave the two together, especially if you're on a longer time horizon. Like if you're doing a 45-minute keynote, I would say yes, totally blend those together.
Right.
If you've got a couple of minutes, I would stick to one or the other. And really the way that I would think about this is the time to use a movie trailer is when you want to get to the next thing, when you want to get butts in seats for an idea, when you want to get your team on your team, like when you have a vision and you need support. It's not necessarily the one to get to yes. It's not the one that's going to get the signature.
Okay.
DNA, on the other hand, will absolutely get you to yes, because it's a quick, punchy, here's the vision, here's what's in the way, here's what I need from you, right? And that is simple contrast. It's like an infomercial. It's like, oh my God, the world's in black and white. Tupperware is falling on me. This is terrible. Oh, what am I gonna do? And then I simply make 4 easy payments of $17.99, and then the world is in color. And that's this in essence.
Yes.
So I would think about them as that. I hope I answered that question.
I like that. I like that. Just whether you're trying to get interest or getting agreement. I go back to startup founders and I think about, the initial meeting and the next meeting. The initial meeting is to get you to the second meeting, and then the second meeting is the one where you ask for $12 million. But you need to get folks interested to hear more. Okay, we have like 2 minutes. Tell me what you do if someone turns to you in a meeting and says, "Hey, Eric, I need you to talk about this in like 30 seconds." You don't have time to write down your structure or anything. So where does your brain go? What are you thinking about? So you have some structure to what you're saying.
Okay, great question. So my first response, I'm going to respond with a question. Who's my audience for this? Because if I don't know that, then I'm out of luck. But if I understand who I'm talking to, then my next 3 questions are what, so what, and now what.
Okay.
And the easiest way to think about this is, what's my idea? What is the single thing I want to leave them with? Like, if they hear one thing, what is it? My next question is, so what? How does my audience's situation improve as a result of my idea? So does it make them money? Does it save them money? Does it improve their emotional situation? Does it do some version of all 3? And if I can get answers to that, I can pretty confidently represent it. And then finally, the now what? So following how they benefit from it, I want to be able to tell them what action I expect them to take. So what's the idea? How do you benefit? And what do I need from you?
What do we do now? Okay. Yeah. What, so what, now what? I love that. I will remember that and steal it and pass it off as my own and claim that we've
Please.
never met. The advice I give folks, and I use this advice a lot, is pretend that you are being limited to one sentence and write that one sentence in your head. The reason I force folks to do this for presentations and for slides is because it forces them to get to the heart of what they really want to say. It is harder to give someone one sentence than it is to give them 10. So narrowing your message down to one sentence forces you to trim away a lot of unnecessary detail and get to the heart of what you actually want to say. It also prevents us from going down too many rabbit trails or including detail that the audience doesn't really care about. So I would think about that always. What's the one sentence version of this? Because then you're forcing yourself to get to the core of the message. And often you can just use that one sentence because that gets to what you need to say. And that's a clear, simple answer. So, so what, so what, now what? And then one sentence, I think are great pieces of advice. We're at time. This was a delight. Eric, where can folks find you if they want to hear more about you?
You can visit gatheround.us.
Okay, wonderful. For
What about
myself,
you?
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Just online, just I'm around. You can find me. If you want to grab some of my favorite slides, we should never start from a blank slide. Feel free to go to the link in my LinkedIn bio and grab some of my favorite slides. Well, that has been us. Our show is called A Matter of Life and Dex, which, I just love. Eric came up with it because he's the copywriter among us. And we'll be back in 2 weeks talking about another favorite presentation related topic. Eric, thank you so much. Have a wonderful
Thank
rest
you,
of your day.
Libby. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thanks y'all for joining. Talk to you later. Bye, everyone.